Okay, seems we're online. Hello and welcome to this Quickie, which is about disrupting your lifestyle and everything you can, basically. And this is quite an unusual talk, actually, because I got kind of tricked into it. I'm usually doing very technical talks, like mostly Scala stuff. And I made a bet with a friend, and I'm Polish, and if you want to force a Polish guy to do something, tell him he cannot do something. So the friend told me, you'll never submit a soft talk. So I did, and that's it. And this talk is actually precisely what this talk is about, so it's very meta. So when you read this sentence, I'm so meta, even this acronym, is meta, right? So that's the way I feel about this talk, because it's about doing something you're uncomfortable with. For example, I'm uncomfortable with soft things and agile stuff. So, who am I? I'm an underscore at eBay, which basically means I'm working hard to introduce Scala in eBay. So I'm just a developer, just like you guys. And other than that, I've been doing a lot of community work in Poland. So there's this conference we run, the Polish Jug, and lots of other groups, including these ones, which I'll talk throughout the talk, because it kind of all relates to each other. And my hobby stuff, what I'm interested in, these icons. If you know what that one is, you have a free beer with me. Grab me later. All right, so what the hell is this disrupt thing? So if we look into the definition, there's a few of them, but we'll focus on the first one. So to throw into confusion or disorder. I don't mean the disorder part, I mean the confusion part. Okay. What is it not? So it's not randomly breaking stuff, and it's also not just disrupting someone's lifestyle or work just to disrupt it. And it's also not ignoring the helpful technologies, for example, because you can do some disrupting technology that's super trendy and ignore the useful stuff. So it's not about it. Oh man. Okay, you can tweet and disrupt me, I guess. So it's not about ignoring the helpful stuff, it's about doing something more, something outside of your comfort zone. So basically experiment, focus on interesting stuff, not new stuff, because nowadays the reactive programming stuff, it's all trendy, but when you look at the papers, it's usually in 1970, 1980. It's not the new stuff, it's the interesting stuff that's coming back. Okay, so what's the problem we're talking about here? It's about when we stop learning. That's what I want to help you to not happen, right? So my motivation is like that. So I want to work, I want to write programs. That's what I do, and this is from an anime series that has me inspired ever since. And it's kind of ridiculous, but the main protagonist tries out different jobs in each episode, and just because, in order to learn life. Why not? Okay. Back to basics, the good old dreyfus model. So it's a bit blurry, I guess, but it basically goes like you essentially start out as a novice in any topic, and then you advance into expert and as you learn more and more, right? And there's a small trick to it, because I would claim, and actually there's a nice blog post about it that I have in the links, but there's this horrible back route here when you become an expert beginner. And you sit in this expert beginner area and you cannot get out. So it's basically a deadly trap. You cannot get out, it's a monad. So the only thing to get out of the expert beginner kind of path is to disrupt yourself and start with a beginner again. And this is painful because you think you're awesome and then you become not awesome anymore. And this is really painful, so people avoid it. But we have to, because life isn't that very simple win route or very simple fail route. It's this horrible corridor of failure, 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 and maybe you'll succeed. And it's not that it's a big failure, and it's not that this failure is horrible and your life collapses. It's a very small failure, right? If you go this route, it's a big failure, right? You messed up your life. But if you have many small failures, which are perhaps you only want to change something, then it's cool. Then you have many small things you can change. And the presentation will be led by 3 pictures illustrated by Zen pencils, awesome site, and the texts are by a known philosopher and writer. So this one is, do not go where the path may lead, go instead where there is no path and leave a trail, right? So, sure, we have Java user groups, we have these awesome communities. Sure, that's true, it's awesome. But when I have a person coming, we don't have this for Haskell. I'm so sad I don't have friends, I cannot discuss Haskell with anyone. So what you should do is, here's your meetup account, next meetup next week, got it? And just do things. And that's how the Lambda Lounge got created, and ever since it's just rocking on, and there's Erlang talks, there's Haskell talks, there's Lisp talks. And all these people that didn't know that they could have a nice community just now have. And it's as easy as just doing it. And then there's this problem of smartest person in the room. Well, I hope we have many smart people in the room, so we wouldn't be perhaps affected here. But in the lecture model, that's the problem. You assume I'm smart, maybe I'm not. If I'm not, tell me. Maybe I'm not. Okay, but you can tackle this in many, many ways. Because if you, for example, have a reading club, it's not the smartest person in the room that dictates the level of the discussion. It's the paper, a science paper, right, that dictates the level of the talk. And a reading club is basically you have some science paper or some book, and then you discuss it together. So in Krakow we called this software craftsmanship, in London we call it the paper cup. And yeah, that's what we read, deprecating the observer pattern. And I'll just skim through them. No need to read all of those. But you see, data center TCP/IP? Who has heard of it? You probably don't use it anyway, but it's interesting, it's great. So let's read it. And it's not that it helps you right away, but it may help you sometime in the future. So it's solving the problem of the smartest person in the room, because there is no smartest person. The smartest person is a piece of paper. So you cannot be angry at a piece of paper that it's not nice to you or something. And there's lots of different ways to solve the smartest person problem. And in this talk I'll be jumping around between disruptive topics. So another thing is disruptive company structure. So we all know the pyramid thing, there's the CEO, and there's the managers and the developers and maybe some contractors, right? But what about if you have 20 CEOs, 20-person company, everybody can do everything? That's a company where I basically came from for the last 2 years. I've been working with these guys. And the special thing about it was no management, full responsibility, full transparency, including financial stuff. How much did we earn? How much did we lose? Can we go to this conference? Yes, no, yeah, we did have a good month recently, so let's go to this conference. And it's built on trust and responsibility, and it's also a funny thing, because the entire company was fully remote. Still is, actually. And then you see books coming out, right? Like the recent remote book from the 37 Signals guys. And it's great because it's not that, oh my god, someone stole our idea. It's not that it's your idea. It's when you can look at it, oh man, we did it similar, but we did these things differently. Let's discuss. So again, you did something disruptive in your own area. Someone else did a similar disruptive thing, and then you can discuss it. And of course, in order to achieve this kind of stuff, you have to be very, very determined. So again, my favorite character, since I didn't have a computer, I made my own out of paper. Sometimes you have to. You have a weird situation, you don't really have the tools, don't really have the people to do something. Do it, right? So it's a do attitude. Like, for example, in the last weeks in eBay, I've been asked, because I'm kind of helping out people to go to conferences. So the question is always, can I go to this conference? And I'm like, just do it. Just go. Don't ask for permissions. Just go and we'll manage it somehow that you can, right? So it's a change of attitude to disrupting me, okay? It's a change of attitude to doing things and not for asking about things, right? So it's always a bit scary to just do something, right? It's easier if you're managed and do the thing. That's easy. But if you just go out and do the thing, and then you're responsible for your decision, it's scary. But let's change the topic again a little bit. So recently there's this big hype about DevOps for Kids, and we actually did the same thing in Krakow. We called it GeekOn for Kids. That's the conference we run. And same idea, right? Teaching children to program. But from my perspective, it was scary from a different point of view. So who was running the workshop? People from the hackerspace, me and a few friends. And we are basically people who would love to shut themselves into some cave and just keep developing. And then do some workshops with children, so I have to be responsible for not killing some child, because that's going to be terrible. That was scary for us, like really scary for us. And for the kids it was great fun, I mean. So everybody wins, we learn something, they learn something. Or another initiative from the hackerspace we did on Women's Day. None, to my knowledge. And so on Women's Day we did this workshop of Arduinos for women. And you would think, nah, no one will show up. But yeah, quite a few girls. And that's my wife hacking in C on an Arduino. That was really a great experience for me. And it's also something they wouldn't usually do, but why not? Let's try it. They won't probably do C stuff in their lives, maybe they'll do, but let's try it. It's going to be interesting. Another story from my life. So I once decided that I should perhaps try a job that I'm about to criticize. So I really don't like being a waiter, and I think it's a shitty job because you have to talk with people. Yeah, like I said, introverts, right? But when I thought, it felt really stupid. I mean, you walk around, have these notes, and it wasn't as cool as Jenkins, but it was really interesting, and I think it helped me kind of to start talking to people also at conferences and stuff, because you're kind of forced to by the job. A developer can try to hide from the business, but a waiter cannot really. Right, so it's just do different things, and it's a small world, and it's a very, very small world. And if you look at it, it looks like one continent on this projection, actually. It's a very nice projection, I like it. It's a bit skewed, but it's basically showing most of the continents as if they were kind of connected. So it's a very small world. Try different things, right? And the last point here would be, if you don't try something beyond your mastery, what you already know, what you've already mastered, you just don't grow, right? So that's the disruptive part again. Okay, functional programming. Everybody does that now, right? It's trendy, everybody does Scala, me too, love it. But I know functional programming. Great, do something different. Have you done Prolog? So, have people done Prolog? Ah man, you're too good for that. Anyway, there's a lot of developers that haven't seen logic programming or other styles of programming, right? And when you show them, you just say stuff, and when you ask Prolog, does Mary like food? Yeah, it does. She does, right? So just try different things. And again, this applies to programming as, you don't have to read it. If you've seen Prolog, it's not that surprising, but if you didn't, it is, right? And the main thing here is to go from, I won't use that, to maybe it will help me someday in the future, I don't know. For example, Prolog, 1972. And then in Datomic, the data access language is basically, it's basically Datalog, and Datalog is based on Prolog. So if you've known Prolog, you look at this new database access language and, that's easy. So you never know what's going to be useful. You can have some intuition, but you never know. And there's tons and tons of more languages, lots of. And I just said my top, from the top of the head, right? But maybe you want to roll your own, right? I know all of these languages, someone says. Awesome, let's implement one. Boom. And it's actually very easy. You don't have to read the thing, but you just do a class writer, you visit some things, and you have your own small language. Oh, then the person says, I meant Spanish. But, okay, learn Spanish. If you want to do your own language, start with Charlie Natter's guide. I would really recommend it, even if you don't want to do the next Scala, just try it. It's really fun. And then you also will not ask the JVM people to add these amazing features, because you know it's kind of hard to do. Some people don't kind of realize how hard it is to support some features, right? Another thing, window management. How do you manage your windows, Conrad? Or why? Okay, I program my window layouting system. Don't many people do that. So your response should be, awesome, show me, right? Not, what, and run away, some people, but just try it. So let's xmonad, It's basically a tiling window manager. So you can program it to have a basic set of layouts, which in this case is horizontally split. Now we switch to the vertically split. On the right-hand side, put the not main windows, right? And you can switch between them with meta J and K, like in VI. And then you can promote a window using meta enter, and then it switches to the main pane, which is on the left. So you can play your games on the left, and on the right act like you're working, that kind of things. But yeah, it's again something different, something interesting. Okay. And then, of course, the biggest thing of all, culture differences. And I don't have much time left, but we'll manage somehow. So, culture differences. So, I actually come from Vienna, but I am Polish, and most of my life I've spent in Krakow. But now I'm in London, and I find the pure experience of living in different cities and just interacting with different styles of how people talk, what they do, it's also very interesting. Or you can do a trip in some weird location like Japan. Okay, Japan isn't maybe so weird in some way, but perhaps a trip in China, like some of my friends did, really changes your thinking about things, right? Because you assume, I go to the shop, get a sandwich. It's not really obvious in some countries, right? Or the biggest of all, culture differences with India. And it's a very touchy topic, but when you keep in mind that somewhere in the past there was this caste system and it still kind of lingers in people's minds, and then you compare it to the Polish kind of history. So the Polish were always, we had this communist government, so we are always like, no, no, to the government, right? Whereas the Indians will be like, yeah, we really value peace, so let's just agree on stuff. So in daily interactions, you would think it doesn't really matter that we had this communism stuff and they had other problems, but it's kind of good to know these things. You don't have to directly apply them. And it's, sadly, or maybe luckily, software is a lot about talking with people, so we have to understand kind of where people are coming from. Okay, but last minute, you're at Devox, that's a good step, you're trying to learn things, but try to go to a weird session. For example, you're an enterprise guy, go to some Raspberry Pi stuff, or that kind of things, right? Find something weird that you have no idea what it is, and go there, right? And then just do it, and keep doing it, and then you'll get a bunch of thanks, tweets, or someone gives you a pat on the shoulder, and then you know you did it right? That's the best thing that can happen. The worst thing is no one says thanks to you, so that's not so bad. Okay, so that was my 15 minutes. That's a lot of links, and that's a nice slide I really like. Thank you.